What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Sunday, December 15th, 2024. My name is Chris Drummond. I'm a freelance sports reporter based out of Minnesota here and a proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I got a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. She is a reporter based out of Albany, New York. She's also spent some time in Arizona reporting as well. Her name is Carina Dominguez. And we're going to talk to her about her why of getting into journalism and also get to know her outside of her occupation. Without any further ado, I introduce to you the wonderful, talented, and the beautiful Carina Dominguez.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing, Carina?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I'm trying to get situated here myself.
Me,
It's
me
challenge.
too. Me too. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Is the audio okay? I have a weird setup right now.
Yeah, I can hear you. I mean, it's just not loud. That's for sure.
Let
But
me
but I can hear you pretty good.
okay. Let me see if I can make some adjustments.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to get too much better, but I'll just try to speak loud.
Actually, that's a little bit better. It's a little bit. The volume's a little bit better. Whatever you was doing, so that's pretty good. I just want to say it's wonderful to see you. You look fabulous tonight. Just want to let you know.
Thank you. Appreciate
You're
that.
very welcome. I also want to say thank you for hopping on my podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, and ask you, how is your weekend going?
It's going good. It's going really great. Just been relaxing, some holiday parties with some friends, eating a lot of food. Just, the holidays, just having fun.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. I want to reiterate to you before I start peppering you with all these questions about why I wanted to have you on. I know you're a reporter right now based out of Albany, New York,
Yeah.
but I know you also spent some time in Arizona reporting as well. I love talking to other reporters about their why because it's a rarity, Karina, that we get to have situations like this where we get to talk amongst each other as reporters about our story because we're always going to get the story. So I think it's just important for people to hear your story because your story is just as special as anyone else's. So I definitely wanted to have you on my platform and talk to you about your why and then get to know you a little bit as well. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I was looking a little bit into the podcast when you had asked me, and I'm just curious to learn a little bit about yourself too before we get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I do now, I'm a freelance sports reporter. I'm based out of Minnesota here, but for the past 6, 7 years, I was working in publications, doing reporting on high school sports and college sports, a combination of Atlanta, Georgia, where I got my undergrad at, and then I moved out here to Minnesota, and I worked in the publication here for about 2 years, covering 12 different high schools and a college, and also a couple of times doing pro. I wanted to start doing more professional teams though, because I wanted to add to my portfolio. Right, I've been covering section championships, state championships, and stuff like that. But I just wanted to add to my portfolio before I go off to my next city. Um, was able to get with a network, able to also call around and still make the necessary as far as assignments goes, events locally here in Minnesota covering high school. But the thing I really wanted to do was pro more than anything. And now I'm going to be covering the Professional Women's Hockey League. I'm going to be covering some Minnesota Lynx games and hopefully some Twins games. So that pretty much in a nutshell has been my career. It's like I said, 6, 7 years strong, and I'm just hoping that it can go further and further because I really love what I do. I do have a job on the side as well, so that's a little bit of a nutshell as far as who I am.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Sorry, I'm trying to turn myself on do not disturb here. But yeah, I was just curious to learn more. I also got my start in sports journalism. I love sports. I love reporting on sports. Was really hoping to take that route. But I like what I'm doing now. I love, reporting on hard news. But I did also kind of report on some high school sports and did some college. Not too much in the professional realm. Although I did do a lot of production work behind the scenes, camera work when I was in college, when I worked for the
Mm-hmm.
and that was still around, unfortunately. They've just
Right, right.
they are,
Totally understand that.
but it was
My first question to you is the same as always on the podcast when I have every guest on here, and that is, what is your why? What is your why of doing what you do? Did you have any role models or inspirations growing up? But ultimately, what is your why of getting into the industry of journalism?
yeah, my why. I think it's just wanting to be able to connect with people, to communicate, to connect, to share ideas, share thoughts, share feelings. I think, just being able to connect with someone was really what attracted me to the industry initially. I've been really interested in the field without even really knowing it until I was much older and kind of put the dots together. But, ever since I was, really young, just, just being able to interview someone and have that one-on-one time and that intimacy, that conversation. I think that's really important to just communicate with one each other, one another, and being able to share your story, and hear other people's stories. I think everyone has something that we could learn from. So
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry about that. Can you see me?
I can. It's frozen, but I can see you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let me see. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Give me one moment. Let's see if this works.
I see
Okay.
you.
Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love that particular answer of your why. I love also starting with that first question because that first question to me is very important. I love to hear people get into this industry for all different kinds of reasons, and have that motivation for getting into this industry. And this is a great segue to the follow up question because you went to one of the best schools as far as colleges, as far as journalism schools, which was Arizona State University. So you learned from the Cronkite School of Journalism. Talk to me. Were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to Arizona State University, or was you dead set on going to that school?
No, absolutely. I had two top choices. I really wanted to go to USC. They're in school. I think that is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of possibility. Was also looking at Northwestern, in Illinois, which was like a lot of, I think, sports journalists, go there. I think it's, got that focus there. But I really wanted to go out of state, but just being in Arizona, Arizona State was right there. It's only 100 miles away from Tucson, about an
Yeah.
hour drive. It's really close.
Mm-hmm.
That just kind of made sense. A lot of people in Arizona, there's a huge rivalry between University of Arizona and Tucson and the Arizona State University campus up in Phoenix.
Sure.
And
Sure.
people always ask me, why didn't you just go to the U of A? Why did you, go to Phoenix? And a lot of people don't understand. Yeah, the Walter Cronkite School is one of the best schools in the nation for journalism. So I was
No
really
question.
have that institution in my backyard, quite literally. So yeah, it just made sense to stay there and to be close to family and to, pursue my career and, you know, really take advantage of everything the school had to offer. There was a lot of great opportunities, great internships. They did a really good job at connecting people.
I love that. I do. Arizona State was definitely one of my schools. When I wanted to go to school, money ended up being a deciding factor for me because at the time I was in Georgia. But I wanted to either go to Arizona State. I checked out Syracuse, Northwestern, Missouri. As you know, those are other schools that have great journalism programs as well. And I knew I wanted to be in this industry, but again, money really dictated that. So I ended up going to Kennesaw State University, which was in Kennesaw, which was further away enough from my family, from my mama, and I didn't want to be too close. but I wanted to be close enough to where I was a drive away, just in case I can come back home. Just
That was
like we're doing.
the situation. Yeah, it was definitely
Absolutely.
close enough and a little far enough, but yeah, it was a great school, a great university, nothing but great things to say. I had that opportunity to work with the Pac-12 networks while I was there.
Yeah.
um really got to hone in on my skills, and like I said, they make a lot of great connections. A lot of people in the industry know that if you're getting a graduate from that school, you're getting someone who's very qualified. So it was a great experience, especially the Cronkite News team. Everything they do up there is just really awesome. And it really came full circle for me too. I was in 2020, I started working with a nonprofit news organization that was based out of that university. So I was
Mm,
back in working there, but it was, the campus I went to school on. So it was a different experience, but very unique.
that's amazing, Karina. It really is. I love that. I want to ask you some favorite questions. And you just give me the 411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions. Are you with me?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Ooh, okay. I think I do like shrimp tacos kind of frequently. It's easy.
Ooh, okay. Okay, now. All right. You definitely piqued my interest. I love me some shrimp tacos, shrimp or steak, either one. So I love that. That's what's up. Okay. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Ooh, that was back in February. I went to Drake and J. Cole in Buffalo. That
Mm,
that was insane. That was two legends, it was definitely an iconic moment. And again, kind of took me back to college, when those two guys, were really early on in their careers, just starting to make music, came
yep.
out a lot of songs together. So just really excited, really, really excited to see those two guys.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how much of those guys are two of my favorite artists. My favorite concert is also includes Drake, but it was Drake versus Lil Wayne. If you
Oh,
remember that concert, that was a while back. But if you remember that concert, that was one of the bops. That was one of those favorite concerts of mine that I'll never forget. It was amazing.
yeah, I did see Young Money as well. I think it was Drake, Lil Wayne, and Nicki. They were all in downtown Phoenix, and the Walter Cronkite
Mhm.
School right there. We were in college. We got to walk down there, and that was a good experience. So yeah, I've actually seen him twice, but J. Cole is actually one of my favorite rappers. So I think I was more excited to see him this time.
No doubt. Love me some Cole. I got a chance to see him as well when I was in Atlanta, Georgia. They actually had on his ticket when I saw him, they had Cole, Big Sean, Jeremiah, and somebody else.
Wow,
Um,
that's
Cole
incredible.
was it. Have you ever been to his Dreamville Fest?
No, but that sounds great. I would love to go.
Put it on the bucket list.
You've
You
been?
would love it. You would love it. No question about it. Definitely got a chance to do that since North Carolina was right there, close to me in Atlanta, Georgia. We drove up, had a good time. It was amazing. So you would definitely love
Yeah, I
it.
definitely want to see Jid. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I love me some Jed too. No doubt, no
But
doubt. Okay, you got some good taste, girl. I
yeah,
like that.
J. Cole's got some good skills on and off the court. He's also, a basketball player himself. So he's
Absolutely.
one of my favorites for multiple reasons.
No doubt. I love it. I love it. Okay. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Favorite place I've ever traveled to? That's a good question. I've done a lot of traveling within the US. I haven't really been to too many places. I've been to Mexico and like the Dominican Republic, but I haven't really
Mm,
been um too far. Wow. I'd say there are parts of Utah that are beautiful. Colorado,
yeah.
Colorado River. Yeah, let's see. Maybe I'll say like Arches National Park in Utah, something like that. That was really unique.
Okay. I like that. That's what's up. Definitely been to Utah and Colorado before. I would definitely in the States. I would definitely say New Orleans.
Mm,
For me. No question. Love New Orleans. Love the food, love everything there. It's a great vibe, no question. Now, out of country, it was Cabo San Lucas in Mexico, but it changed because I went on a cruise about 6 weeks ago with my dad and my dad's side of the family, I should say. and Jamaica is my new favorite place.
Yeah,
So
what is there right now or soon? But yeah, that's
mhm.
beautiful. I would love to go there. Cabo is on my list though. That's somewhere I really want to go. And it's really close to where I grew up, but never been.
Okay, well, put that also on the bucket list, Karina, because that's definitely a place you definitely want to go for sure. I'm with you on that. Okay. Now I'm a sports person, so and it looks like you're a sports person too. So I got a sports question. Favorite sport you like to watch on TV? Favorite sport you like to attend in person? They could be the same sport.
Okay. I like watching basketball. I think that's just high energy, a lot of fun. I used to play. I like playing. I'm not great, but I like playing.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'd say that's fun. I think it's also really fun to attend hockey games. I haven't been to a lot, but those can get pretty rowdy. Those can be pretty fun.
Got you. Now, are you close to like where the Rangers or Islanders play? Are you close by them?
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not anywhere near them. I don't think. Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. Now I
I'm not,
figured. Now you are in New York, right?
I'm not in New York City though. It's about two
Got you.
and a half hours north, so I guess it depends on what you.
Um, okay, okay, got you. I didn't know how far Albany was from the city of New York. I did not know that.
Yeah, about
Okay,
2 hours.
okay, that's what's up. That's all right. I love basketball. No question about it. That's my favorite sport. And I definitely love football and hockey would be a third, but this is the hockey place here. People love hockey here in Minnesota. No question about it.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. Really good to see a lot live and up close and personal. I love it. So, but basketball definitely is my favorite sport. So, okay, that's what's up. Last of the favorites. Favorite place you like to go out and eat at? Because I'm a huge traveler. I'm a huge foodie. So I would love to hear a place there that you like to eat at.
Okay, just like any place or like a
Mhm.
common place.
Yeah, like in any one of your favorite places that you like to go out and eat at.
Okay, around here there's an Italian steakhouse called Delmonico's.
Mm.
That's one of my favorites. So if you come around this area, definitely Delmonico's is the spot.
Well, I would definitely go to Delmonico's, and while I'm there, I'll definitely have to come up and say hi to you for sure. There's no question about it. So I would definitely do that, no doubt. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me about that. I want to hear about your day to day. As you know, as journalists, our day to days are never the same. They change all the time, from day to day with stories, with just different things going on. The hours change. I'm not sure as you always been on the same shift, but I know that I've worked in the mornings. I've worked towards the night side shift, doing different things, writing different articles. Tell me about your day to day as far as how many stories you do, when does it start, when does it end, and yeah, and everything in between.
Yeah, as you know, it's unpredictable. The breaking news, it's so unpredictable. So it
Yes.
really kind of depends on how the day shakes out. So yeah, I wake up, I try to, give myself enough time. Doesn't usually happen that way. Usually I'm trying to scramble to get out the door. But
Right.
I try to start my day with, a little bit of exercise, some stretching, just trying to get myself ready, get myself in the right frame of mind. I like to listen to music, on my way in.
Mm.
Also try to listen to some NPR, WAMC up in the
Yep.
this love getting ready while I'm listening to them. Kind of helps bring me up to speed, killed two birds with one stone.
Sure. Sure.
We have a 9:45 editorial meeting, so that's kind of how we all start our day. The whole newsroom comes together with our news director, our assistant news director, different producers, the digital team, all of our reporters. We all come together and just kind of talk about, what's the top story of the day, what's going on, figure out what we're going to cover. Sometimes we can try to set something up ahead of time, but if there's something that happens over the weekend, obviously there's some things that just kind of take precedent over other things.
Sure.
So
Yep.
have meeting, kind of determine what the game plan is for the day. Once I have an assignment, we just kind of hit the ground running, and it's phone calls, emails, who are the stakeholders, who are the players here, how do we get both sides to talk to us, and just trying to find out as much as you can about that issue, or following it, when it's a follow-up on something, just making sure that you're asking all the right questions and pushing that story forward if, that's, what's next there. I'm really excited to look into a story on Monday, so I'm hoping to get in a little bit early to make some calls to see, what we can make happen. But really looking forward to that. So yeah, hopefully I can get in and just hit the ground running. And a lot of it's just kind of hurry up and wait. You really have to try to convince people to talk to you, especially on camera. We work in a video medium, so we need people to talk to us on camera. A lot of times people have great ideas, but they don't want to speak with us, and it's hard to move a story forward and get that coverage that it needs when we don't really have those voices. So we always can work with people and figure it out. But yeah, once we get those interviews out of the way, we want to make sure we get all of our B-roll as well, anything visually that'll help us tell the story, requesting any graphics that we might need made by our graphics team. They're really great. Yeah, and then just we have a 1:15 editorial meeting, an afternoon meeting where we update the whole team on, this is what we have, this is what we found, this is what we have scheduled. We have a 4 p.m. newscast, a 4:30, a 5 o'clock, a 5:30, a 6. So just trying to figure out, what elements we have for those shows. Typically, once first story done, it doesn't change too much, but sometimes it's breaking news right as things are unfolding, so it's a completely different story for the next newscast. So just getting our ducks in a row, making sure that we have all of our sound. I like to listen through all of the sound and make sure I'm trying to choose the best story, the best sound bites that are going to help us tell the story. So getting all that done, getting the script edited, once that's done, getting it tracked in our tracking booth. Sometimes if we're working in the field, we have to do that part in our car.
Sure. Yeah.
We're just trying to run around, and you don't really have time to eat a lunch every day, but you try to squeeze it in or get a snack and figure out, sometimes you're out in the field and like, I need the bathroom, like where can I go? Where is there a gas station? But looking for those elements, and trying to tell the story the best you can in the limited time that we have. Sometimes the stories are a minute 30 and more or less, so it's hard to get all of the all of the nuts and bolts in. But yeah, you just kind of do your best to whittle it down and accurately reflect what's going on in the community. And then our editors are great. Sometimes we have to MMJ and do it all by ourselves, but we have some great camera people we work with, so they'll edit it together and it shows up on your TV at 4 o'clock or 4:30.
I love it. I really love that detailed description. I do, because people need to know MMJs, multimedia journalists, or one-man bands. When we say one-man bands, those are people that write, edit, shoot, carry equipment. Sometimes you go into places to where you got to set up, and equipment is heavy. I mean, it's heavy sometimes, right? And then you got to move it around, carry it around. You're on deadline as well. It's such an action packed type of job, fast paced, but you love it because you don't have to do the redundancy of the same thing over and over again. You're doing different things each day. I like how you started off by talking about sometimes the stories and the people not coming on camera, which we understand, we get it. Everybody's not comfortable doing that. There's some sources that just don't want to be revealed as far as the information goes. Does it make our job a little bit harder? Yes, but we understand. I know for a fact there's been multiple times, Carina, where I've had a story in mind, I've set it up, and then all of a sudden they've either canceled or ghosted me, or I've had to pivot and do something different. I'm sure you've had the same issues that's happened to you. All journalists gets it, no question about it. I've also had situations where I might be out with my friends. As you know, this is called the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. So I like to work hard, but also like to play hard too. There's no question about it. But I'll be at the bar. Might be ordering a drink, and then I'll get a call saying, "Chris, can you cover a game? Can you do this? Can you do that?" I'm sure you probably have gotten that call or that heads up in an email where somebody's came to you and said, "Carina, can you cover this?" And you were just about out the door, or you thought you were going to be out the door. So it's one of those beautiful things, but it can get to you a little bit if those type of things you're not expecting to when you walk into this job, which again, is a great segue of the next thing I want to talk to you about, and that's mental health and work-life balance. Um, More so than ever now, mental health is being talked about, which is a great thing. I think it's a tremendous that people are bringing it up and talking about it. But in our industry, we've lost a lot of colleagues due to mental health. I've known some that stepped aside and went to different jobs because they couldn't handle the stress of the work or maybe the work-life balance. You know, working too much. As I've stated before, this is not an 8 to 4, 9 to 5 business type of job. This job can vary all different kind of hours, and sometimes the stress of that gets to people. I want to ask you, Carina, um, how do you balance your work-life balance and also maintain good mental health? You seem like a wonderful woman to be around. I certainly wouldn't mind being around you, that's for sure. But you also seem like you work pretty hard and love what you do. So, how do you balance the work-life balance and maintain good mental health?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's definitely something that's really hard to do, very challenging, especially as you mentioned in this industry. The news is 24/7 these days, and
Yep.
um, that's one thing I love about it, is that, you are learning something new every day, and you are able to hold people accountable when things are, a little suspicious, but um it is really hard to make yourself available to sources, to be able to gather information all the time. There's definitely a lot of hours that I'm working that are not fully clocked, and unfortunately that is kind of the expectation that they set when I was in school. They say you're not just a journalist from 9 to 5, you're a journalist 24/7. So
Right.
you,
Right.
you hear something, sometimes sources come to you with information, and yes, you can always set those boundaries. You don't have to, constantly be working. I'm definitely not advocating for that, but there is
Hmm.
part of you who, it does really become a part of your identity and who you are, and just the way you operate, I guess, throughout life.
Sure.
It is important to, definitely take time for yourself. I love hiking. I love baking. I have my setup here, my Zoom interview going on top of a new KitchenAid machine that I'm going to open after this. So I'm excited about that.
That's
Um,
awesome. That's awesome.
but I love listening to music. I feel like that can instantly change your mood. And there are some really hard stories that we have to cover. This whole last week, it was Monday, two kids died, after falling in a lake. Tuesday, there's a funeral for a veteran who was, over 100 years old. Wednesday, we were talking about a state of emergency in a local village where they have no water right now. And then on Thursday, we were talking about a college that closed that was just auctioned off. So we found out who actually won that property. Um, and then Friday, I can't even remember. It was the closest day to me right now, but
Right, right,
a lot of
right.
stories. Yeah, it was just a lot of heavy stuff. So it's always good to balance that out, and I think connecting with friends, having that time, being able to decompress and just relax and listen to music, dance, sing, that kind of stuff is very helpful. I think it's really good for your mental health. More recently, I mentioned those holiday parties. We've been doing a lot of little arts and crafts, and I feel like that is so good to be able to work with your hands and create something. But I love being out in nature. It's hard, at this time of year. It's really cold, but
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
my best to be in nature and to stay connected, and you know, in more ways than one. Just being connected to friends. Having those nights out sometimes. But yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. I just think it's an important question to ask. Everybody deals with stuff differently as far as the mental health and work-life balance. To me, this is one of the greatest jobs in the world. I don't want to change it for nothing because I love the fact that when I do stories, especially in the past, there's no greater feeling than me. There's no greater feeling to me, I should say, when I go to a gas station and pump gas and somebody reads my story and tells me I did a pretty good job, or when I go to a game and cover a game and they're saying, we appreciate you telling that story. We do hard news. And this is kind of a hard news type of stories, I should say. This is a bonus type of question for you because I want to know, I do sports, and sports, there are times where it's very hard, right? You have winners, you have losers in these games. Sometimes you write a feature story that may touch somebody, right? And stuff like that. But for the most part, when you're playing games in sports, it's a winner and it's a loser. And you walk in knowing that you have a 50% chance of doing either one. With hard news stories, you don't walk out the door and be like, I'm not going to come back home. It's just a tragedy like that. You don't think that in your mind, although it is possible with everybody, but you just don't think of that, right? Tell me, has it been hard for you to separate yourself when you come home from doing these hard news stories? I've had many people on here that been in news that have said yes, and then some have said no. I would love to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, it's hard to separate yourself when you care about the community that you're talking about. For example, those two kids I mentioned, where they died, I pass that lake every single day on my way to work,
Right,
and every single time I see it, I'm thinking about them now, and there's just no way we can't, and walking the dog down by the lake, they have a memorial up, so sometimes, you are going to be impacted. You're always going to feel something, two kids dying, like who wouldn't feel sad about, covering a story like that when there are
of
two families
course.
there who are hurting tremendously right now, and they were
Right,
young, and the whole community and the school and the city and just everyone, no one, I don't think can walk past that lake and feel the same right now. It's so fresh. It all just happened last weekend. So it's hard to disconnect yourself in that sense, and especially, these stories where people die. There was a horrible story with four victims. They were all around 25 and younger. They all had multiple kids, about four or five kids each. They had a lot of kids. They were very young themselves. They were kids themselves practically. And, talking to those families after they passed away and just trying to figure out how it happened, this suspicion with a race potentially that was happening, or someone maybe getting veered off the road was the allegations, but they didn't ultimately find any of that to be true. But just, so many of these stories are so hard because you have these people that you're calling and you're texting, and um and it's delicate. It's so delicate and it's so hard, and you want people to trust you with their stories, and you want them to be willing to share, and it's hard to balance that out with, like I mentioned before, the breaking news cycle.
yeah,
So that can be hard. But it's not too hard to cover other stories, lighter stories. There's some stories that
sure.
are fun, but it's those heavier ones when there's fatalities that it really makes it hard, and it leaves an impact for sure. You don't really forget that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Again, a question worth asking. For me, I shied away from news because of that. I mean, I really do love sports as well. Don't get me wrong, but I just knew that it would be very tough for me to stick a microphone in someone's face when you had a tragedy happen like that to a family member. Any kind of type of hard news tragedy. It's just you don't know how to when to give grace or when to be able to have them talk on record or and stuff like that. You just don't know because everybody reactions is always different. I commend you for doing that. I really do. You have a lot of respect, and I respect all the journalists, but including you, no question.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just about being authentic and being real, and
Yeah,
some there is no answer. Sometimes, it's not as deep as, why isn't this investigation going properly? Sometimes it's just, unfortunate, and just giving them space to share memories of that person, or if they have a GoFundMe account that they're looking at, and they're looking for donations, just being able to give them that opportunity so they can, share those memories, and use that as a way to, just kind of commemorate that person. And if they need the assistance, it's always a way for them to advocate for that. But it is hard, not everybody wants to talk, and you never force it. If people say
absolutely.
no, that means no. But it's just, giving them that opportunity, if they whether they want to take it or not is completely up to them.
Absolutely. What kind of advice, Karina, would you give someone that may be a postgraduate, maybe an intern at your station right now, or maybe somebody who's a little more seasoned in age, like myself? Um, what kind of advice would you give an individual that wants to start in this journalism industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things that you can do is to join, if you're able to, if you have, a news organization, a nonprofit, a journalist association, for example, I'm a part of the Native American Journalists Association. They've just changed their name to the Indigenous Journalists Association. So forgive me, IJA is what it's called now. But also the Hispanic, there's the NAHJ as well, the National
Yep.
Association for Hispanic Journalists. And even just, if you like investigative reporting, and going to like the IRE conference and things like that, I think it's important to, find something that interests you. Or if other journalists who are like you, and making those connections and networking through those national conferences. I think there's a lot to learn. I think there's a lot of great workshops offered at those conferences, a lot of people
Agreed.
to network with, and just skill sets that you can build on. Looking for those mentors, I think, really helps as well. Tapping into the knowledge that's already there, and people who you admire. If you look up to people and their work, ProPublica has great journalists over there. There's, you know,
Right.
different, news organizations that I admire, and people who work at those places that I try to, connect with and stay connected with, and ask for their advice, if I have a story I'm working on where I think they could, shed some light on. So yeah, I think it's just about, making those connections with other people in the industry and attending these conferences, trying to build your skill set. I think being open to everything, not saying, oh, I'm only going to anchor, I'm only going to do this. I don't think that's going to benefit anybody. I think no matter what your goals are, just do your best to be a team player, and have a skill set and everything that you can, or if you're interested in it, I just want to do my best to be a well-rounded journalist. And I think that will probably take me far in this industry, I'm hoping.
Sure, sure, no question. Anybody that knows you or have seen your work, which I've seen you reel on YouTube and I've seen you do other videos as well, knows how passionate you are and how good you are at doing your job. There's no question about that. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's ever said that to you. I'm sure there's many people have, and they should, because you deserve your flowers in that instance of doing really good work and really great stories and showing that passion for journalism.
Thank you.
I No question, no question. You're welcome. I'm also substitute teach, Karina. And what I do is I like to tell, I call them my young boys and girls, especially in high school and also in college, because now I'm in my 30s now. So I tell them that you should try everything. When it comes to this industry, try everything, right? Write, direct, shoot, produce, anchor, be a reporter, all the radio, all the above. Do as much as you can, because you find out what you want to do, and you also find out what you don't want to do. And I love that. I love to just be able to try everything, because you never know what you like unless you try it. The second thing I tell them is be comfortable being uncomfortable in this industry. I like to advocate that a lot, and they ask me, "What do you mean by that?" And I mean that there's going to be sometimes in this industry where there's stories done, there's coworkers that you meet that might not be the best coworkers. There'll be stories that you do that you might not like to do. There's going to be just situations that come up, right, in your life that is just going to be uncomfortable at first. But if you could turn those things into a comfort, it helps you deal with difficult stories and situations, because everything's not always going to be the grass is greener. It's just not in this industry. And
That's
one
right.
thing about go ahead.
No, that's wonderful advice. I really like that you're telling them that, because a lot of people, it is uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is uncomfortable, but once you kind of get over that hump, you have so much more possibilities, especially as a journalist. I think it's so important, because you're supposed to be a watchdog for the public. You're supposed to be advocating for the people, you're supposed to be listening to what the issues are, and holding people accountable. And that's not supposed to be something that feels comfortable, when there's
Right.
positions of power, when there's, different mayors or, elected officials or executives or CEOs, you have to go in there and you have to ask these questions, because that's what the nurses are saying. That's what the, people on the street are saying. That's what all these,
Absolutely.
so so you have to be that one voice in there, asking those questions. If you're quiet, then you're not getting the answers. You're not properly reflecting what these people have issue with, So um, I think that's a really great piece of advice that, they should definitely learn for sure.
Absolutely. And thank you for saying that because you're right. You have to ask difficult questions. We wouldn't be doing our job if we just let things slide as reporters. Because, like you said, we are an advocate for the people. We're pillars in our communities. People turn to us, right? They turn on the TV and look at you. The one thing that I also advocate, not really something that I try to give advice about, but the one thing I do try to advocate is understand that this is not something about glitz and glamour. You have to get into this business for the right reasons. This is a great business to be in. Again, I'll reiterate. I love doing this. You love doing this. We just love being journalists. We love storytelling. But sometimes people see your face, Carina. They're like, wow, the pretty girl on TV giving us the 411 about the news. She must have it made. She has a microphone in her hand. But Karina, they don't understand all the things that you have to go to. Remember, you broke down your day to day, your multiple editorial meetings, your fact that you're looking for stories. You get your assignment. You're driving to your place, and then you also sometimes. I think you say you have to be in your car sometimes just to get stuff uploaded or edited in time. So people don't know that. They don't see that. All they see is the final product, which is you on TV talking. But there's a lot that goes into that, and us journalists know that. So for people to want to get into this industry, they got to know that everything. They got to make a decision on everything that you know. That's why I do this podcast. It's really about the A side and the B side. The A side is what we do. The B side is what people don't see, and what people don't understand. I'm sure you being a journalist, Karina, there's been multiple times where you've had to work on holidays or work around holidays and you've missed time with your family. I have too. I understand it. We understand it, but we're doing something that we love to do. No one wants to not be around family by those holiday times. We all do. But this is the sacrifice we make for the job that we love. So I just want people to know when you do this, you can't half-ass it. Like you got to be all in, and that's the important thing.
Absolutely. As you said, like I see this really as a responsibility. I feel like this is my calling. This is something I've always wanted to do. You know,
Mhm.
I was writing and eventually made my way into the broadcasting side of it, but it's something I've been passionate about, because of that connection and because of that communication. But as I grew older, it's about holding people accountable and
Mhm.
doing these things. It's not easy, and it's not great pay. But I don't see it as, something I got into to be on TV and make a lot of money. It was really because of the people. I feel like the people, the community, they deserve proper representation, especially me being Native American and being indigenous,
Mm.
not having a lot of indigenous journalists out there. I think I have a very important role and a very unique role, and I think it's my responsibility to further develop my skill set and be that representation out there and try to do my best to advocate for all the people, because that's what we're supposed to be doing as watchdogs for the public. um
Absolutely.
but there is a lot behind the scenes, and I have a very unique path as far as this is the first station I've worked at on air, working in local television on air. I was working on air before. It was in a very different capacity at a nonprofit. And I did
Right.
daily deadline. So having a daily deadline is much different than, turning things, whenever, I turn them, So
Right.
this is definitely different, but I've had 12 years of experience. My first paid journalism job, I was a multimedia sports reporter for the state press, which was the Arizona State newspaper.
Telling it. Yep.
So, so being able to do that kind of journalism was great, and it gave me, a regular deadline. But it's been 12, almost 13 years since I had that first paid journalism job. I was doing it in high school too, even before.
Yep.
But this was actually, the first opportunity I had to make money doing what I'm doing. And I've really worked in journalism all but maybe a year when I worked in sales very briefly. Um,
Sure.
but I've worked in journalism my whole life, and a lot of that experience behind the camera is really coming into play now, as far as knowing what the producers need, knowing, how things operate in the control room, just knowing how all these different elements come together, and just trying to be a good team player, and making sure everyone has what they need when they need it, which I need to get better with my timing, but just making sure that all of these different, assets come together and we're telling the story the best way that we can. But just, utilizing that over a decade worth of experience that I have and building community relationships, cultivating those sources that I have, trying to get, scoops, when it's possible. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot that goes into it over years, it didn't happen overnight, that's for sure. So I do my best to try to share that information with people, and your young people, I'm sure you show this podcast too. So
Yeah.
hopefully it can help some people, and I can definitely share my contact info with anyone who might have questions or want to connect. And that was one of my favorite things to do before COVID happened. I actually was attending the national conference for high school journalists. um,
Hmm.
so doing that was so amazing. And I really miss doing that. But being able to talk to high school journalists and just hearing um how interested they were. I used to do a workshop on implicit storytelling, like implicit bias, and how that can, make its way into your storytelling, and how to basically check yourself to be aware of that, and how it happens, doing a self audit on how you can, make sure that you're trying to diversify, your sources. But yeah, it's just been really interesting. It's been really fun. And, I just want to do my best to help anyone else who's really interested in this field, because it is a really hard time. Places are shutting down, people are getting fired. But I think if you're in it for the right reasons, you'll always want to be a journalist for sure.
No question. No question about that. Lastly, before I get to the next question, I did go to NABJ this past year, which was in Chicago. It's amazing. You mentioned about NABJ, not only that, but iJazz, or is it iJazz you said?
Yeah, IJA, they just changed it recently.
Right, right. So you mentioned about that, and then you also mentioned NAHJ, which I know a good friend of mine, a new good friend of mine. Her name is Natalie Martinez. She's based out of Chicago. She went to NAHJ, which is in Chicago this very next year, and I'm definitely going to be planning on going to it. Are you going to be going to it?
I would love to go to more conferences. It's been hard, financially to be able to make
Sure.
it happen, but I would love to try to get to. I haven't been to the IJA conference in a couple years now, and I'm hoping next year I can make that conference happen. The cool thing is that Naja, when it was Naja, and NHJ, they would actually do the conference together some years. So I know we just announced our location, and I'll have to see if NHJ has announced a location, because
They
we
did.
we did Miami together, which was amazing. Miami, I love Miami. That was one of my favorite places I was going to mention before, but the atmosphere, the humidity is just so suffocating. I'm from the desert, it's so dry. So Miami was a different experience, but we had a really great time, like at that joint conference. I love when we're able to do that. We also did it in Anaheim. So we'll see. I'll have to look into.
I do know that NAHJ is definitely in Chicago. They're actually in the same place where NABJ was this year.
What month
Uh,
is
I'm sorry, go ahead.
what month is it next year?
So NAHJ is going to be in July.
Mm.
Because NABJ, which I also plan on going to, is in Cleveland this year, the next year in 25. So a good friend of mine, Natalie, told me, hey, you should inquire about that because, I was like, wow, I haven't, I don't know if there's like, a particular type of like criteria that has to go to be at, NAHJ. And she said, no, there's no criteria. You just come on and then I said, okay, well, I mean, I always love Chicago. I have family out there and I always love going to Chicago. So that is definitely my plan to hit that up for sure.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, if I end up making it out there, I'll definitely let you know, because that would be a fun time. That
Yeah,
conference is always a great time.
absolutely. Now, Karina, we have reached a portion of the podcast to where we're going to do my interactive game called This or That. It's
Okay.
a game that I like to play with all my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It's simple. I'm going to throw some things at you, and you get to choose this or that. Karina, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Do you like chicken?
Yes.
Okay. So pick between these two chicken spots. Which one would you prefer to eat at? Popeyes or KFC?
Mm, I'm gonna go Popeyes, but I grew up on KFC, but Popeyes.
I know that's right, girl. Girl, I'm with you right there. I love me some Popeyes too. Okay, here we go. Sticking with chicken, but we're talking about chicken wings now. Which flavor would you rather put on a chicken wing? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Lemon pepper.
Okay, do you like your wings wet or dry?
What?
Okay, do you like your wings bone in or boneless?
Mm, there's an argument that they're not wings if they're boneless.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
boneless wings. I mean, I like bone on, but bone in, I don't know. There's only so many I can eat until it starts kind of grossing me out. Anything on a bone.
Okay. Okay. So you like to get a little messy, is what you're saying. Wet boneless wings is what you're saying.
Yeah, those are good.
Okay, I'm with you on that. Now these next five have to do with music concerts you rather attend. So this is right up your alley here. So here we go. Which music concert would you rather go to? Would you rather see Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B?
Megan, 100%. I love Megan.
Okay, I'm with you on that. All right. Which concert would you rather go to? Would you rather see HER or SZA?
SZA,
Okay. All right, here we go. Which music concert would you rather go to? Would you rather see Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Kendrick Lamar, 100%. I was actually just
Uh,
talking
Go
about
ahead.
looking at Kendrick Lamar dates, trying to see if that's a possibility. We'll see next year.
You know, his first stop is going to be out here in Minneapolis, the other tour of him and SZA in Minneapolis. So that is definitely my plan to go see him. That's my guy. No question about it. Okay, here we go. Which music concert would you rather go see, Chris Brown or Usher?
Usher.
Girl, you on point right now like a period. I love this. I love this. Okay, here we go. Which music concert would you rather go see? Beyonce or Rihanna?
Beyonce, I think. I mean, I love Rihanna too, but
Mhm.
Beyonce is just iconic. It's hard to turn that down.
Absolutely. Will you watch her halftime special on Christmas? She's actually performing on halftime.
Didn't know that. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, it's going to be the second game of the Christmas NFL game. So it's going to be during the Texans and Baltimore game. Obviously, being from Houston, it's in Houston. So she's going to perform at halftime.
Perfect. That sounds great. Yeah, that's news to me.
Okay, that's what's up. All right. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
I used to play badminton, but I'm not good at either. I'd say bowling, I guess.
I totally understand. Do you need the bumpers?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can do it without, but I'll be much better with them.
I bet you would. You cannot play Wii bowling in public. We can't do that. It cannot. I totally understand though. I get it. You know, bowling is an acquired taste. There's only certain people that can do it. I totally get that. But yes, I always have to ask that question if people need the bumpers or not. So yeah, here we go. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Would you rather watch baseball or would you rather watch football?
Football, I know baseball gets a bad rap. I like watching baseball. I prefer going in person to baseball games though. I love
Mm,
training. I love spring training in Arizona. It's so much fun.
absolutely, no question. Definitely baseball in person over baseball on TV. I'm with you on that. Okay, do you like desserts?
Love desserts. Too much.
Okay. Okay. That's all right. It never could be too much, girl. Never could be too much. Here we go. I'm gonna throw four categories at you. You get to choose one of these that you'll never eat again. Okay. So here we go. First one is cookies. The second one is candy. The third one is cake. The last one is ice cream. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
I'll go candy. I like baked goods.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I would have chose candy myself. What's your favorite ice cream?
Um, I'm a more of a chocolate fan right now. I like this like chocolate. It's got chocolate covered almonds in it, and it's just chocolate ice cream. Super good. But I like Rocky Road. Sometimes I like butter pecan, but this chocolate almond flavor I've been really liking.
I feel you on that, and I thank you so much for being a chocolate lover. I really do, because I'm a vanilla lover. That means more vanilla for me, and I'm cookies and cream. That's what I like. I love that. So yes, absolutely. That's amazing. Okay. Do you like chips? Potato chips.
Yeah, I mean not so much. Like I don't eat them often, but occasionally.
Okay, so this is the same format. I'm going to throw four brands. You got to get rid of one of these brands you'll never eat again. Okay, so here we go. The first brand is Pringles. The second brand is Ruffles. The third brand is Lay's. The last brand is Doritos. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
Pringles.
Wow. Okay. I'm with you on that. What's your favorite chip?
Doritos I actually like probably the most out of all of those. But I like Cheetos. I like hot Cheetos.
I
I'm
figured that. I
that's for
figured that. That's why I didn't say hot Cheetos, because that seemed to be the consensus with everybody. I too like hot Cheetos. I was a weird one with hot Cheetos, Karina. I don't know if you was, but I used to, as a kid, eat the hot Cheetos and put the nacho cheese in it.
We did that. I used to have hot Cheetos for breakfast in middle school. I swear to God. We have
Mm.
chamoy. I don't know if you've ever heard of chamoy, but we
No, what's that?
it's like a red sauce and it's like a fruit based type of sauce and it's got like seasonings. You put it on fruit. You can put it on so many things. But yeah, we would put chamoy on our hot Cheetos and that was breakfast some days.
Okay, okay. I know you did really good on this or that, by the way. I was just curious. I know you said that you were Native American. I used to work in a casino out here in Minnesota as a host, and we would get a lot of Native American people in with different tribes. The tribe that was mainly over there was like Lower Sioux.
Mm.
What is your tribe?
I'm from the Pascua Yaqui tribe. So
Mm,
Yaquis, we live in the Southwest. We're all along, the Southwest. There's a lot of Yaquis in Mexico. So it's one of those, the border crossed us type of situations.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I grew up in Tucson. I grew up on the only official reservation. So there's a lot of different Yaqui communities all throughout Arizona, Texas. There's even, a lot in California. But there's only one like official reservation, which was where I grew up in Tucson, Southwest Tucson. So yeah, the Pascua Yaqui tribe. We were federally recognized in the 70s. So
Okay.
yeah, but what tribe did you work for, or what casino was it?
The casino's Jackpot Junction out
Okay.
here in Minnesota. And we were at the Lower Sioux, a tribe. Mainly, was the ones that would come in a lot. I just knew, I was just seeing a lot of different Native Americans, and it was amazing to see in my mind, because I was like, this is pretty cool. They would have different type of celebrations where they would dress up and dance, and they would always be welcoming me to the events, because I love learning about different cultures and different people and stuff like that. So it was just amazing to see.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a tribe that I've been to out there. We went to Mystic Lake. That's actually where one of our conferences was one year. So Mystic Lake,
Yep.
that one, that's a really nice one.
Yes, very nice. Probably the nicest of them all. That's in Shakopee,
Yep.
Shakopee, Minnesota. Definitely know about that. I typically like to go there because they have great events. I went there to see Chris Rock when he came there, so it was pretty nice. And they have a pretty good tribe down there as well, with people who I definitely respect and admire and love to be around for sure. No question about that. So,
Yeah,
all
Chris
right.
from SNL. Just watched him this past weekend.
Right, absolutely. Yes. He was a funny dude. I'm actually thinking about going to another event down there. I'll have to see when to see a comedian. I've been down there before for the Rip Fest. There's a Rip Fest that they normally have down there. So, and I'm a carnivore, so I definitely like to eat ribs, steak, anything like that. I'm with it. So, absolutely. I love asking this next question, Karina, especially the journalist, and that is, if journalism wasn't your career, what career path would you have chosen and why?
Environmental science, probably. I
Mm,
It's super important, our climate change issue is not going away. So, I,
no, no.
you know, our, research, and even though the research is very clear, I think just dedicating, myself to that field would have been the best use of my time if I wasn't a journalist. But I was also really into at that time marketing because my mom worked in marketing, and she had a lot of perks with her job, which was always fun. And I got to take advantage of a lot of that, so that was great. But I also was very into sports. I wanted to be a sports journalist. I thought sports marketing was interesting. But ultimately, I think if I was going to change career paths, it would have been some kind of environmental science.
I feel you on that. I think I would have done theater for sure. I love plays. Love musicals. I'm a huge just musical buff. I love to be able to see people act on stage and be something, just step into a character and just really take it on. So I find that fascinating and admiring in a
So,
lot of different ways.
so you watched Wicked?
Well, I've watched it before, like live, like at the Fox Theater. I haven't watched the movie version yet with Ariana Grande. However, next Tuesday, which is my day off, or this upcoming Tuesday, I should say, I plan on watching it. I definitely want to give it its just due and see how she did. Many people have been giving me mixed reviews. Some people say it's amazing. Some people say, it wasn't that good. So I want to see for myself for sure.
Great. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Okay. Now these next two questions are top four questions. First top four question is about you, and that is give me a top four of stories that you have done in the industry that you are most proud of.
Okay. Yeah. Well, just recently, this last week, I've been trying to cover this, that story on Thursday, this college campus that closed, the College of St. Rose. The school closed. A lot of people were very sad, very upset to see that happen.
Hmm.
People very suspicious about it. But just really trying to figure out, what's happening, trying to stay on top of it. I ended up with another reporter, actually a news reporter. We were kind of staked out in a hallway on the ninth floor, just kind of like waiting to hear, who won this auction, who's going to own the property, what's going to happen next with this property. Everyone's afraid that the neighborhood's going to go downhill, and people don't want to
Right.
see that. People also don't want to see, their rents raised like crazy. So it's just listening to the community, listening to these people who've been involved in these conversations, the different stakeholders, the different elected officials who've been working to, obtain the property, which they did. The Pine Hills Land Authority won it. So a lot of people are really excited about that, but still a lot to follow there and to make sure that, you know, people's voices are heard, and they are brought to the table like they want to be, and that the community is reflected in that property going forward. I think that's kind of the biggest goal right now for everyone involved. So yeah, just trying to stay on top of that one and get the scoop. I was out there all day, a lot of hurry up and wait, and then we didn't get it until right before slot. So um,
Right.
it's really hard, to try to make that happen. But I'm really proud that we were able to, break the story and get the scoop before our other broadcast competitors. So that was really good. So that's up there. I think that has a lot of impact. My second favorite story I would say is a story on these people in Schenectady. It's a
Oh,
nice elderly couple. They
okay.
Their house hit like 8 times by speeding vehicles. They live on this
Mm.
straightaway. It ends up kind of curving right by their house. So if people are flying down that road, sometimes they lose control of their vehicle. So they've had property, they've had a truck hit, they've had their gates hit, their house has been hit, their gas meter has been narrowly missed. So
Oh,
um,
wow.
it's been tragic for them, yeah, on a number of these hits that they've had to endure. But just I know there had been reporting in the past But I was just so shocked to hear that this happened so many times, and the city denied the request to lower the speed limit, which I thought was interesting. And, if that's not going to happen, then what other kind of safety measures are going to be taken? So just kind of staying on top of that, and covering that. I know they were really happy and grateful that my reporting, they feel, helped get them a guardrail, because they had asked the city for a guardrail, and the city said, well, if we give you one, it's going to just get hit, and then we're going to have to keep replacing. And they're like, yeah, but it's coming out of our pocket right now. And so after doing that story, they ended up did like getting the guardrail installed. And
I love that.
that couple is extremely thankful. They called me their guardian angel, which,
Oh, that's nice. I love that.
yeah, which I think is really sweet, and I'm just glad that I can help people. And, I couldn't imagine being elderly and not having my family home with me and my grandkids, and just feeling worried constantly. And they're always afraid when they hear a loud vehicle, speeding by. So, I try to do my best, especially with people, and stories like that, because someone's really afraid right now, and, they're looking for some solutions that will make them feel comfortable in their home. Um,
Absolutely.
the other two, I would say, we did a lot of reporting on the birth center. That's kind of like the only birth center in the area. They were looking at closing that, and there was a lot of community activists, hundreds of people, advocating to keep it open, and really campaigning, and just trying to talk to them, trying to talk to the hospital, and the different Department of Health, and different actors who have been involved in that process. So um you know we didn't I didn't necessarily break anything there and do anything crazy, but just really trying to listen to the community and what they're saying, and listening to these grassroots activists. And for one of the stories, we were able to get inside of the hospital and see inside of these birth rooms, and why it was so important to these people to keep these things open and have, this access, for moms, how critical that
Right.
is. Um,
Absolutely.
and then I would say for the last one, I don't know. It's hard to say. There's a lot of really interesting stories. I like doing some
Hmm.
stories and not like heavy stories all the time. So I do like that aspect of local journalism is, sometimes you can cover a blue lobster at an aquarium or like different things like that. Yeah, for the last one, I don't know. I couldn't say, but
No, you're good. You're good. I put you on the spot, that's for sure. But you did pretty good with the stories that you came up with, especially that guardrail story. I mean, that is amazing. That's what we do it. This is why we do that. Those type of stories and that type of journalism is because we want to evoke change. I mean, that's something that will forever stick with you because not only did you do that story, but the appreciation that was allocated to you, right, and was shown by them. It's like, okay, they appreciate the work that I was doing. They appreciate my help, and you're putting on all your hard work. And not only that, but the city acknowledged. Listen, we gotta do something to help these people out. They can't keep coming out of pocket paying for something that's not their fault. It's not right.
no.
So
And I would say my last story, now that I'm thinking about it, was
go
Ben
ahead.
story. There was a young man who grew up in this area. He was adopted. He knew he was adopted, and he was adopted from Chile, and later found out how that whole process unfolded. And apparently, he was stolen from a hospital, not by his adoptive parents, but by the system, the government run hospital in that system, and working with people who the adoptive parents thought was the legitimate agency. They went down there, they got him, and yeah, it took him years. He was, in his 20s when he found out that he had biological family, was able to talk to that family, connect with him, and found out years before his biological mom had died. And a lot of that
Wow.
had the fact that he was stolen, and she had struggled with that, even though she had 9 other kids or 8 other kids. Losing the one really impacted her, and she died. And so he was able to go back and visit, and he saw her grave, and he was able to get to know his siblings, and I believe he'll be going back soon. So there might be some other children who share a similar story in our region, so I'm hoping to learn more about this coming week as well. And hopefully can do another follow-up. And those have harder solutions. It's not so easy, especially when a loved one has died. But
Right.
letting people know that this is the kind of thing that has happened. And I think so many times people think, oh, my family just didn't care, or they were poor and so they wanted this. And sometimes there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, and we're seeing that across the board in all these different countries, not just this one country. But yeah, I think that adoption story was very impactful.
Without question. No, nobody. I mean, nobody would think that it wouldn't be impactful, right? That kind of story, I mean, touches a lot of people. I mean, when you talk about a mom that had to give up her baby, that's one of the hardest things a mother has to do, or feel like she has to do, is to give up her baby. And the fact that he came back wanting to speak to his biological parents and then finding out that his mother did pass, I mean, that's just an incredible story, for you to come about, tell, and allow, others to tell their part of it too. So I love that. I told you I had a second top four for you, and that's this time. It's I want you to tell me what is a bucket list of stories that you would like to do that you haven't done yet.
Ooh, all right. Don't go poaching my ideas here, because we'll um, but there are that I think would be really great, and I really hope I have the chance to do them while I'm here. Um, well, this next week I'm looking into some really interesting stories. I was looking at the Texas Tribune, and they had a story about a New York law that's up for I don't know, it's just going to be tested basically to see how strong this law is. So, Texas has all these abortion issues, right? They're trying to
Yeah, they
illegal.
do.
And in Arizona, New York, they have a lot of protections for doctors who provide services to out-of-state patients. It's called the Shield Law. So it'll be interesting to see how strong this law is, because it is up in court. Federal prosecutors or state prosecutors in Texas, they're trying to. I believe the Attorney General is trying to try one of the doctors here, and she's in my coverage area. So I'm really hoping I can get in touch with her, and I really hope that she will talk to me and that I can get that story done here. Because, like I
That'd
said,
be amazing.
yeah, I saw it in a Texas newspaper, so I haven't seen anything from New York yet. So I need to just
Okay.
think on that and figure out if this will be possible. And I have a story that I really would like to get done regarding repatriation of human remains. So the New York
Wow.
Museum has over 600 human remains that belong to tribal nations, and they are supposed to, it's, it's the law that they need to give these remains back, and they need to work with tribal nations on getting, returning these items. And we're seeing different stories from different institutions. I think Harvard just repatriated a couple of remains, and it looks like they'll be working with that tribe closely. And there's a lot of these stories coming out, but I think since I'm here right now, I really need to press the New York State Museum on their status, and where they're at with that, and who they're working with. It's really hard trying to make those connections with natives in the region, because I'm not from here, and
Right.
a lot of
Right.
them north, really far from here. But just doing my best to make those connections, meet the right people, and trying to get that story done, because that could be an amazing um, long form story.
Yes, it could.
Yeah. So they've already repatriated a lot. So they're aware that they need to, and they already have. It's just there are still a lot that they haven't, and just trying to move the needle forward a little bit on that. So we'll see if I can get to that. That's a heavy lift. That'll take a lot of reporting, and I need the days to do that, because when you have to turn a story every single day, it makes it hard to work on.
Without question. Yeah.
But I love investigative storytelling, so I'm really, really excited about that one. Um, and then, other stories, I think just continuing to follow, like the St. Rose, the college closing, and just, closely following who are going to be the new owners, what are they going to do with this property?
Mhm.
How involved is the community in the process of, having their voices heard, being able to utilize, the space. I noticed in this area there's not a lot of rec centers. Like in Arizona, we have a lot of recreation centers, and there doesn't seem to be a lot here, and they keep talking about a crime problem, and it's like, well, if we had more spaces for people to go do active things, or even just a friendly competition on a basketball
Right.
court, can,
Right.
I think, ease a lot of tension sometimes, and I just think,
Sure.
people having spaces they can go and to do healthy things, it's crazy to me how there's not so many out here. So I would love to see, that space be utilized in a positive way for the community so people of all ages can go and benefit from that. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of the people in the community say they want to see. So the county's in charge of it now, so we'll see how it goes. And it sounds pretty promising, but just, trying to keep a close eye on that. Another story I would like to tell, just more Native American stories, more
Oh, I got you on that. Okay. Okay.
figure out, who the players are and what the issues are. And I've talked to people and had a lot of ideas, but it's just kind of hard to make those connections sometimes. So just trying to lay that groundwork and, figure out what we can do and how we could potentially work together.
Absolutely. Now, I can definitely tell, that representation part is definitely important to you, right? Being Native American, and being able to be an advocate in the occupation of journalism, because it will be a wonderful sight again to see more, not just women in journalism, but more ethnic women in journalism of all ethnicities, especially Native American, Black and Brown. I'm a huge advocate for that. I want to see more women in journalism. I want to see more women in sports as well. I just think that it brings up our industry even more better when we have a really an equal type of divide, where we can advocate our opinions and talk more. There's a lot of percentage of women that watch sports, but a lot of women that do journalism as well that I just really feel like we're lacking as far as in the industry as a whole. And I'm gonna be a huge advocate for that for days to come. I've already been that for many years, but I'm gonna continue to do that for sure. Um, I
Absolutely.
was thinking for me, Olympics will be one, Super Bowl will be two, NBA Finals will be three, and then obviously me being a sports journalist, and then four will be the World Series, with a close national championship, either college basketball or football being like one of those close fifths. But the top four is those for sure. I definitely would love to do that, especially with the Olympics
Would
being.
be fun.
You said what?
The Super Bowl would be fun.
Oh yeah, it would be amazing. That would be amazing to me. I would love that so much. So anytime I can possibly do that, that would be pretty cool. Um, we have advice. We have a couple more questions here before we are out. Advice. What is some advice that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
I I think the advice of, kind of just going to these conferences, joining these organizations, being a part of that, um,
Mhm.
attending those, I think that was some really, critical advice that did help my career a lot. Um, I think that is important. But I think it's also important to just to be yourself. I know it sounds so generic, but just to be authentic, to be yourself. Don't try to act like anybody else. It's nice to be inspired by people, and you have your different attributes you might like about different journalists, the way they go about different things or their delivery, their
Absolutely.
on air. But just being yourself at the end of the day, I think is the most important thing. Being authentic and just being real. People know when you're being genuine and they appreciate that. So
I love that. I do. We have came to the portion now where we're almost at the end of the podcast. We're going to do some rapid fire here, Karina. And first thing that comes to your mind, you just blurt it out. So here we go. Do you like burgers or tacos?
tacos, absolutely.
What's you on that? Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles,
Okay, I'm with you on that. Chicken or ribs?
chicken,
Okay. Favorite color?
pink,
Okay. Favorite TV show?
Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's a damn good show, by the way. That's pretty good. I like that. Funny show. Classic. Favorite alcoholic drink?
Mm, I'd say mezcal.
Okay, so like a Moscow Mule?
A mezcal margarita.
Oh, a margarita. Okay. I'm with you on that. All right. Favorite board game?
Mm, um, I don't know, man. I haven't played a lot. Not recently. Maybe like a Candyland type of game.
Okay. Okay, we roll with that, Candyland. What about favorite card game?
Uno?
Good roll with that. Spades or dominoes?
I've never played either, but I'll go dominoes.
Okay, okay. We're gonna have to change that, by the way, Karina. We're gonna have to change it. Here we go. If you had three people to take with you on a vacation, and it's three plus you, so it equals four. Where would you go? You can go anywhere in the world, and who would you take?
Well, I would take my daughter and maybe my two of my nieces, but I don't know how I would choose which ones. I'd make them like draw like a straw or something. No, I have a lot of nieces and nephews, so maybe I'll take two of them and whoever's luckiest out of that bunch, then they'll come with us.
Where would you go?
Costa Rica.
I like that. Okay. Here's another one. If you had a choice to listen to three artists or three songs on repeat and never get tired of listening to them, who would those three artists or three songs be?
Oh man. Well, I do listen to a lot of J. Cole and Kendrick, but
Okay.
Meg the Stallion would definitely be up there. I can listen to any Meg, all day, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I
definitely
like
anything from her. But I also love this artist El Alfa. He is amazing. He's a Dominican. He does like dembo music. He's really good. He's just so creative. So I'll say him and Selena. You can't go wrong with Selena. You'll say anything Selena. Selena's great.
so Selena Gomez, J.
Oh,
Cole, and
Selena, the original Quintanilla.
okay. So you like Bitty Bitty Bamba. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Got you. Got you. I love me some Selena too. She was great. She was amazing. Favorite sandwich?
Mm, maybe like a I don't know. Sandwiches are like the one thing I really don't like crave or want, but like there's a place in Tucson, it's called Chiba Hut, and they have amazing sandwiches. So
I
literally
love it. I love it.
anything from there. They do one,
Okay.
yeah, I don't, yeah, Chiba Hut, anything from Chiba Hut.
Now, do you put like turkey? Is it ham? Is it steak? Is it chicken?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I do like a lot of chicken recently. I
Okay.
don't
Okay.
like too much, but yeah, like I'll do like a turkey or something.
Okay. Now, if they came up to you, Karina, and they said you're gonna have to do one of these occupations for the rest of your life, or would you choose being a reporter, being an anchor, or being a producer?
Reporting in the field, for sure.
Okay. Last one of the rapid fire. If they said, Karina, you can only choose one of these genres of reporting to do, would you choose either news, music or entertainment, sports, or weather? Which one would you choose?
I came in really wanting to be a sports journalist, but I'm gonna have to go news.
Love it. I do. That's
Yeah.
what's up. I can respect that. This has been a pretty dope conversation, Karina, of knowing your beginning and your why of why you do what you do. Coming into the Arizona State School, being able to learn and craft your skill set, and then being able to be in this industry for over 10 plus years, a decade, and covering news stories, sports stories in Arizona and in the New York
Mhm.
state. I really do appreciate your transparency. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your experience. I appreciate just your wisdom to share on here about your journey, about your why you do what you do. It's really amazing to see, and it's easily can see that you're very passionate about what you do and very, again, skilled at what you do. So I thank you again for coming on to my podcast. And the final question that I always have for my wonderful guests on here is there anything else you would like to add about yourself, the job, or anything at all before we conclude?
I don't want to add anything about myself, but if anyone's interested, if they want advice, if they have any questions, I'm always, willing to connect with people. And, I know you said you have a lot of classes. If you wanted me to talk to any of your classes, I'd be happy to share my experience with them and make myself available. I think it's important to talk to young journalists and, give it to them straight as far as like my experience and what that has been. And just trying to give them the best advice that I can. I think that's, the most value that I could give to any younger people right now. But I appreciate the time. I just wanted to say thank you very much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. It's been great. I think it's awesome. You're just as passionate about what you do. And, it's wonderful. And to be able to share this, time and, none of us are getting paid for this, but it's nice to come together and to share experiences and to be able to connect and share that with the world. I think that's wonderful. So if you ever need anything else from me, just let me know.
Absolutely, Karina. Vice versa here. No question about it. Thank you for your time. We will definitely stay in touch. And listen, have a wonderful Sunday night. Have a wonderful rest of the week. If I don't say or see you or, talk to you before Christmas, happy holidays and happy new year. So definitely take care and thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy holidays. Have a good night. Bye.